Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it is Wednesday, it's March 8th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And even though we didn't get a really good trend day, this was a pretty good trading day. Um, we had a nice trend working up in the overnight. It looked like it was going to continue trending for the day, but then we just went sideways. And notice that we kind of got a midline across this area right here. If you just took the lows and the highs and you get a perfect midline right across here as well. So, and of course we bounced there once, and then you can see it kind of acting as support and resistance across here as well into the late afternoon. But pretty good day overall. Still a good many trades. Um, there's one here I forgot to mark. Go ahead and mark that one. But let's back out. We'll talk about the trades, and we'll go from there. But you can see we were working up. This was a clear channel. You could get it off the highs. If you drew it off the highs and drug it down, it fits perfect. But notice the second entry long right off the trend line, right after about 7 o'clock hour. Pullback first entry, pullback second entry, fairly bullish bar. So that's a perfect setup right out of the gate, right after you get here this morning. If you catch that one, you get a runner, and you can ride this all the way up. But notice that this is basically a double bottom here. Almost could call that a triple bottom, and you get a first entry short, second entry short. It fails, and then this is also a second entry long. It's not a very good signal bar, but because you could treat it like a trap, I like going long there. And really, notice you got another little double bottom here. So first entry, second entry. Even though that got enough, it still bounces off the trend line. So you might treat that like a failed second entry short. It's definitely a double bottom. It's a bounce off a key entry point. You got a trend line working down that you don't have a break of yet. That's a little bit concerning. Um, it's not a perfect signal bar either, and it's just a first entry counting off the highs. So I'm a little bit leery of that one. It would have worked, but I'm a little bit leery of it. And notice what happens. You move up, and notice too, we didn't quite get back to the upper side twice there. That's a good sign you may get a break. So that's another reason to be really concerned about that trade. But notice you get a second leg down, and you get a fairly bullish bar here with a second entry long. It's a little close to the EMA, but it doesn't really matter. It's your first break of a nice trend. You're probably going to test that high. Um, you might even go long, even though, I mean, it's only 3 ticks, so you might even go long there. It's pretty low risk, especially when it made that double bar matching low. So you might have just gone long if when it broke up above that. And then notice you get a break of this little short term. You pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and we don't have a new high yet still. So we're probably going to push up for another push up, a leg up on your 2 legs to a new high. And you you might have even considered adding on here. Of course, this isn't a very good signal bar, but this one's kind of inside, and I like breaking, going long. That's really where your second entry triggered when it broke above that one. Your stop still has to go down here. And then notice it came back again and then went out the upper side. If you've got enough room to get out here, you might consider adding on there or entering there as well. And then you also got a double test even right here, but we made a new high and we pulled back, and that's just a first entry. And the fact that we've gotten caught there 3 times now makes that really concerning. It would have worked if you went long there, but this is just, I'd skip that one and try to wait, and then you just go into congestion there, and then you got to be concerned. So um, what I like here is this is actually a failed second entry long. It doesn't trigger till it breaks below right here. So you could treat that. Plus you got a double top and a lower high here after 3 pushes up. You're probably going to go lower. It is concerning because it's into those lows right there. Um, but I still like that one simply because of that trap and the fact, notice how it breaks out of these highs. You don't have a whole lot of room there, so you could argue for that one to be green, but I still like it because it made a lower high after 3 attempts there. It's pretty obvious this is a trading range up here, and at some point we're going to push on through, and we actually get 2 legs down here, and it bounces where right in the middle of your range. Um, Coming down, break, move to a new low. So I like that one being that far away from the EMA. You're usually better off to wait on a lower high, or a higher low in this case, since we're coming off the low. So for that reason, I'm a little bit concerned about going long right there. But when you get the failed second entry short, I like it then. And notice we're working higher. And really, this is a double bottom here with a little trap, and then you try to go short twice more. So that's like a little reversal pattern. So at that point, you figure we're probably going to go test the high. Only problem is you've got a break of what looks like the channel here, but it's possible that it's two-tiered. If you draw it there, it fits pretty well. You can see that. So I felt confident enough that we're probably pushing up to a high here again. And if it hadn't been a trap, I wouldn't have liked it. And then, of course, we turned down right there again. It's real tempting as far away as we are from the EMA to go short on that first test of it. But since we don't have a break of this channel, you got to be leery of that. But if you wanted to risk that one, I'm not totally against it. I will make it green. But I think you're always better off to wait on that lower high, which comes right here. But normally I'd say, even without this break here, that I'd probably say you'd want to skip that one. But we're still a long way away from the EMA, and we're coming off the high of what looks like a range. So you want to try to catch these highs and try to run this down. So if you don't enter one of these, you're going to miss a really nice move. Of course, you don't know that ahead of time, but that's what you're trying to do on a range day is you go short at the lows and you go long, or short at the highs, I'm sorry, and go long at the lows. And then I like this one. This is basically another attempt. It never broke higher, but with that little bitty tiny bar right there, right off that trend line, I felt that was worth the risk. Looking for it to run to the other side, and of course it does. And turns out this is the the trade of the day. If you got in right here, and you can see it, just the bottom falls out of it. And I would have looked to exit right in here somewhere. The way it went right on through there, you might have waited until it broke above another bar, which would have got you out here, but you only get another tick or so. I mean, you can't ever get all of every move. I see people, saying, "Hey, I still left a lot on the table," but if you can get 75% of a move, you've done pretty good. So if you enter here and exit right here, or definitely right here, you've done pretty good. So, I mean, you got about as much as that as you're going to get. So, again, where it was tempting to go long down here, being that far away from the EMA, but with the midline being right there, there's too big a chance that it turns down and traps you or something. So I don't think you want to go long right there, right into that midline. That's where you got to be really careful. Is right around that midline. So especially when you're pushing through it on both sides like that. So, but yeah, it ends up bouncing and takes you into the 2 o'clock hour. So, but you can see the two halves. You can see it's 2 measured halves right there, perfect measured halves, and that's just right off the low of the day. And this actual high of the day was the highs yesterday afternoon. You can see where we were flipping back and forth across that line yesterday, even the day before that. So that's been, that 23.72 has been an important price range, and so you want to pay close attention to that, and that's why I kind of like going short off of it every time. And this actually was a double test of this high, but we're still looking for a new high here on this channel. and this didn't look so much like a range day yet, so I don't think I would go short there. It's not that far away from the EMA. And you notice it tried to bounce, and it could have just bounced there, but it did push on through and would have got a scalp. But I don't recommend it until we start, until we knew for sure that we had a range going across here. So, but yeah, really good trading day. Considered it was a range day, and you could catch a couple of these, had a pretty good move on them too that had runners. So you would have caught a runner here, here, here. You would have got a little bit of one here. But yeah, if you just caught a couple of these and caught one of the runners, you would have done pretty good today. So yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bush today. This was, pretty straightforward range day. And just remember on range days, make that look more like a midline. On range days, just remember that the goal is to sell the highs and buy the lows. And we really had an upward bias until right in here, and then it's more neutral. So I'd say it went neutral right in here. And just remember on range days, sell the highs and buy the lows. And you got to be careful with the midline because it's you get more failures around there. But really, this was just when we went into a range. Really, it's just the range is a little higher, even though it's two-tiered. This was really your range for the most part because we didn't really get below that till almost late in the afternoon, and by that time it didn't matter. So, and there was I believe it was today. Was there crude oil at 9:30? I can't remember if that was today or yesterday. The days kind of running into each other, but I think it was today that there was a crude oil report that came out around 9:30. But it didn't really, crude doesn't normally affect the ES to a whole lot. When oil was getting a little volatile there for the last 8 or 10 months, we did get a few days where it was kind of volatile. So I'd keep an eye on it, but it seems to be kind of going back to normal where you don't get a lot of effect from oil on the ES. So maybe the oil market, maybe it didn't even really affect the oil market today. I haven't looked at it, so I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. Just remember that anytime there's a high volatility news item, including oil, that sometimes it will affect the ES. So the FOMC, some of the financial reports, the manufacturing and jobs and stuff like that tend to affect it more than oil would. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.